Hello and welcome to the very first Match of the Dads podcast. This is episode 1, the pilot episode, and I'm joined tonight by Chief Executive of Match of the Dads and founder, Paul Godfrey, and Captain of Real Madad and Operations Officer, Adam Kemp. Good evening, lads.
Hello.
Hello.
As you didn't introduce yourself,
Minnie. And I'm Minnie.
Yes.
Because I'm short. So, yeah, our first podcast.
Yes.
We've had Match of the Dads running for 3 seasons, 3.5 seasons
months,
now.
Yeah.
And all is going well.
It is, yeah, you know.
Amazing, though.
56 dads involved now, which is incredible from what it started out as 18, what was it, 18 or 12 of us having a kickabout?
12.
Yes, 12 of us
12
kickabout
of
the
us.
first time. And yeah, it's just snowballed. Just getting bigger and better all the time.
And for those people that aren't aware of what we do you want to just explain why you set it up and why we do it?
Yeah, we belonged to another dad group in the past, and we decided to have a kickabout one week, and went well. Thought we'd carry it on for a couple of weeks after that, and then a few of us decided that we'd try and make it more official and put in some kind of league format. And from there, it's just gone from strength to strength. One of the main things that we do through Match of the Dads is raise money for COTT, Campaign Against Living Miserably, male suicide and suicide prevention and mental health charity. So that's something that's really big for us, and it's also why we wanted to get it set up so dads can get together, blow off steam, and use their teammates, their opponents as a support group, as well as just playing football with.
So, I mean, what inspired you to come up with it? When was the moment where you thought that this would be the way to help dads out? Because obviously I've been a dad for 3 years now, and there's things out there that promise so much, but never really take off. And I feel like Match of the Dads in the season and a bit that I've been involved is genuinely helping not only Calm as a charity, but it's helping the dads.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there was a certain amount of, well, I should imagine I speak for myself, Adam, and you, Minnie, that when you're a dad, you lose a lot of your friends. You know, you lose, your social circle becomes smaller because your friends don't necessarily have kids and things like that. So you've got to do, I just thought I needed to do something to try and widen my social circle, and also why not try to do something to get a bit fitter as well.
I think for a lot of people as well, it's that element of a lot of support groups for women. There's not really anything for men.
Definitely.
I think a lot of men perhaps struggle to talk about issues and things like that in an open environment.
Yeah.
And I think obviously what Match of the Dads does is lets men express themselves by doing something they like in doing sport.
Definitely.
But also gives in that element of interactions with other people, but in an environment which suits us.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, Chris Rivet, who's part of your team this season?
Not mine, no. He's part of Mark's team.
Right, Dadalona.
Yes, Dadalona.
So, me and him go a little way back.
Yeah.
And he initially invited me to the dad's breakfast. And I was a bit sceptical to start with, as you often are, because a lot of these things are almost cultish. They're about hating partners and like, we are dads and let's all...
we're not militant at all.
And he mentioned about the football, and at the time I was having my own struggles, and I've got to admit, this whole thing has just helped so much. It's looking forward to something on a Monday. That's the interaction with, certainly in our team, we have a lot of interaction on the group chat, and there's a lot of interaction on the main chat as well.
Definitely. I mean, you know, I'd never say that we've got all the answers. If people have got problems, questions, issues, or just stuff that they're going through, you know, we won't necessarily have the answers, but for me, I can use it as a sounding board if I just need to rant, vent, or whatever. Even if I just had a crappy day at work, you know, it's the ideal place where I can just get it off my chest without necessarily affecting my other half and the family environment. And that's what it's there for.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys, I say we've because it does feel like a collective. It feels like everyone's got something to offer this.
Yeah.
Whether it be creative stuff, whether it be the amount of lone players who have got on board, and even though they're not part of a team, they're still willing to stick by it week in, week out. There's so many organised leagues by soccer centres that struggle to get teams week in, week out, and because of the way you guys have sensibly set it up so that there is a lone pool, it acts as, well, less games get cancelled, which is great, because
something
the
we
last
always
thing
want to
last thing you want, if you're looking forward to it, and that's your social outlet,
Exactly.
is a game to be cancelled,
Yeah.
because that can have the adverse effect.
I mean,
of
what
you're trying
I
to
didn't
achieve.
want to do is have too much of a segregation between the full squads and the lone pool. So
Yeah.
that's why the guys, all right, we've got a lone group chat, which we put the requests out for any lone players, but they're also in the main squad as well. So it's not like it's a them and us kind of thing. It's just one big community, and the camaraderie, it's brilliant. I mean, I've seen, this is going to sound really soppy, but I've seen friendships blossom on the pitch, off the pitch, and I know from my perspective, I've made friends for life, and you can't beat it.
This is absolutely it. I think, you know, a lot of us are shut into our immediate bubbles. You know, we've got our work colleagues, which, you know, aren't always friends, and obviously what this does is it gives you a completely different dynamic in which you know, I can quite happily sit here comfortably with you guys, which, you know, I wouldn't do with anyone else, and that's
How comfortably.
remarkably comfortably.
Careful, it's a family show.
But you know, it is an important thing, because I think having someone outside your immediate family is so important and fatherhood, because otherwise those stresses are going on the people you love immediately in your surroundings. Whereas obviously with this, we have banter, we take the mick out of each other, and you know, and that's what it's for, though. It's a release that doesn't hurt anyone, and you know, for like I say, for us, it's imperative.
And I mean, it's now taken off to the level so much, in fact, that the BBC paid us a visit.
They did, yes. That was brilliant. We had one of the guys from BBC Digital come down and do some filming of us. It's going back to July, August time, I think now. It just kind of went viral. Match of the Day picked up on our Facebook channel, and it got 116,000 views in a week.
And we actually challenged the
We
Match of the Day
did
team.
challenge Match of the Day presenters to a game of football, but they never got back to us.
So
So Alan Shearer, Gary Lineker, Ian Wright, Gabby Logan, come and play us.
yes,
I think we'd give them a run.
I reckon we should. We could. Just don't have me in goal.
And if George is available.
Yeah, we can loan him in for the night.
Lone Wonder Kid. Right, talking of Lone Wonder Kids, and without being too controversial about it, should we move on to the match reviews of Monday just gone?
Yes, let's
so
do
we've
it.
got we had 2 matches on Monday, actually, double header, as has become a theme this season with the addition of the 7th team. So first up we had Dadford City versus Dad's Army. Now Minnie obviously played in this game, so how did it go?
I did. I mean, Dadford City have had a tough start to the season, without doubt. We had an incredibly fortunate start to the season where we had 3 wins under our belt until we met Real Madrid and then Dadston Villa. We felt confident going into the game. We're a strong side. We were missing Bucky, who has been a star for us at the back this season. And I mean, Nige in goal. Even Dave Wynn, captain of Dadford, admitted that without
Nigel's phenomenal.
without him, they probably wouldn't have won that game, because he made save after save after save. They had Ashley Rowe, who's awesome. He picked up a knock early on. By that point, he'd probably scored a hat-trick already. And, I mean, it's not what Match of the Dads is about, but we were kind of hoping he'd stay off the pitch for the rest of the game and make a swift recovery for next week. But it's one of those where I don't want to say we were overconfident, but
You were overconfident.
I feel the gap in fixtures hasn't necessarily helped us. We understand that the fixture list is worked out the way it is. We understand that the loan pool is worked out the way it is. and I believe there's some changes coming to that we may get onto later.
That's my breaking news.
Yes.
But it's one of those where, yeah, I think we may have suffered from overconfidence. We definitely suffered from missing Bucky because, like I said, he's been solid at the back for us this season. And I feel like with our team at the moment, there's a bit of a transitional period of responsibilities. So we're trying new things and they're not always working out the way we want them to. But I know Tom and the rest of the lads, they're a great bunch. I love playing in their team. We quite often talked when we won the first 3 games of the season that we'd love to take the title and stick together next season. But it's one of those at the moment where we just need to get back on track, and I feel like one win and that may sort us out a little bit, but at the moment we're just off form.
Yeah, so obviously just to clarify the score on that, David City 20, Dad's Army 9. It was a bit of a shock result. I think a lot of people were expecting Dad's Army to perhaps claw themselves back into second in the league, but yeah, I mean, how much do you think changing to 5-a-side affected the result?
I've seen the highlights from other games, and we've all been guilty at one stage of the season of standing about.
Oh,
and
without a doubt.
5-a-side, you can't get away with it. 6-a-side, you sometimes can, because for every one of you standing about, there's sometimes 1 or 2 of the opposite team, whereas with 5-a-side, everyone's running the whole game. And yeah, we got found out. And I mean, I'm not saying that this will be the way it is now with 5-a-side. I think there's enough spirit in that team to get a result. We just need to get it and get our confidence back. Especially our strikers' goals have been coming from all over the team at the moment, and our strikers just need to get a few goals behind them and get their confidence back.
Absolutely. Okay, so that was Dadford City Dad's Army. Moving across to our other fixture on the neighbouring pitch, we had Papathinaikos versus Dadalona FC. Now, obviously, Dadalona spent much of the season glued to the bottom of the league table, while Papa were hanging about there in the top. But how did it go?
Not well. I think that's the best way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, the start of the season, we obviously drew with Real, and then got a win under our belts, and then the wheels kind of fell off a bit.
It's a few defeats in a row.
Things.
Obviously, this one quite a heavy one.
It
So
was
21-7 the final score.
21-7,
Dadalona
yes.
FC to Papathinaikos.
So yeah, I mean, things weren't good. It was our first game playing under the 5-a-side format. We've been without our top goal scorer, Daz, who had scored up until his injury in the previous game. He'd scored like 24 goals in 3 games, which is just phenomenal. So we're missing him. There's no doubt about it. The other thing, I mean, like, just echoing what Minnie said about the fixtures, this is our first fixture for a month, and now we don't play for almost 2 months.
It's obviously worth mentioning at this point that obviously next season the fixture list will be very different in the fact that we will have multiple games each week, which means that the average time between a game, you're looking at sort of 2 to 3 weeks per game. So whereas this season obviously sometimes there's 3 or 4 weeks per game. So
yeah, but also we've got the winter break coming up as well.
Yes.
So yeah, it's at sort of 8 weeks between our
8 weeks.
the game that we just played and our next game. So it does give people like Daz the time to recover from any injury, from his knock that he's got. And I mean, I think the loan system benefited Dadalona on Monday, because I mean they've got Kev on their squad. I mean, Dadalona have got some really good individual players that they just weren't gelling together as a team at the start of the season. They got a win. They got a draw. They got a win. They've found some cohesion. And you know, you chuck in the ability of George Mace into that mix, and
Kevin Thurston, obviously, who's recently joined them.
Kev Thurston, he joined after 3 or 4 matches at the season, so he's now a full member of their squad. So he's got skills, he's got bags of ability, and that's the same with George. So when George comes in and joins them as a lone player, against a team like us at the moment who are a little bit out of sorts, it's going to be difficult. So yeah, you know, we lost heavily, but we take it on the chin. We just regroup, we get everyone back fit, and we'll go again in our next game.
How's your back? After picking
Yeah,
the ball up
sore,
that much?
man, sore.
I think this is a good thing about the league, though, is that teams can beat each other. There's obviously Real Madrid aside, perhaps there is a lot of competition in the middle of that. But that's the whole point. Obviously, this season we tried to make a point of making all the teams competitive. And I think to a tune that's true. I think Dadalone are a good example of that, where like you said, they weren't quite working as a team. But obviously from the performance on Monday, you've got players that perhaps were lacking confidence, or they weren't really working well with their teammates, and then suddenly it's working. And I think any team in the league can do that. Any team can put a run of results together.
I mean,
yeah.
That's what makes it good.
What I would say is, so moves us on nicely to the league update at the moment, and you boys are leading by 7 points. There was a stage when we played you at the start of the game where we could have closed the gap to, was it 1 point, or gone level, or
Yeah, you'd have been 1 point behind.
1 point behind,
One point behind.
and 3 losses in a row, and suddenly the gap's opened. And I mean, it's incredible how tight it's got at the bottom now as well.
Yeah, I think
So
we've gone from third to bottom in about 3 games as well.
Yeah, I think there's actually 2 points separating 4th to 7th at the moment. So it is literally all to play for. There's so much that can change between now and then. I think obviously changing the 5-a-side might affect a few teams. It certainly affected us on a week ago. I think we were perhaps a bit lucky to claw it back at half time, and obviously we managed to win the game. But if we'd have lost that game, the table looked quite different, because the teams below us have games in hand. So although the point difference is massive now, if we hadn't won that game Monday, then it would have been a totally different story. So I think, to be fair, obviously I've put on here the game against Dadston at the start of January. I think that's probably the key fixture now for the title. Dadston's second in the league. So
do you feel that the loan pool could come to haunt your team? Because obviously me and Paul have chatted about our experience from Monday night, and like we said, it's great having the loan pool. It keeps games going ahead. But if Real come up against George Mace and Ashley Rowe in the same team, that could be a team down near the bottom suddenly becomes a team worthy of beating Real, because with those 2 players, they are exceptional talents and they could change games.
This is something that we've absolutely talked about. I think obviously a lot of my players have aired concerns, the same as anyone else, about how much loans are affecting results, and it's probably possibly an ideal time to make an announcement, I think, Paul.
Yes, it is. So between the captains, we've been discussing the position on loans for a little while. And I think Monday's matches brought it all to a head. So we discussed it all. We've got together and we have got a statement that I want to read about the current emergency loan rule. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. As has always been the case, we tried to keep this very much a team-focused event that is fair for all, and it's becoming clear that loaning players is beginning to have a big impact on recent results. Therefore, the following changes are being implemented with immediate effect. Teams are encouraged to take a minimum of 6-player matchday squad from their own team. Teams unable to reach 6 players are able to apply for 1 emergency loan. Teams must be able to field a minimum of 5 of their own players in total, or they'll concede the match at a 3-0 loss. If both teams are unable to field enough players, the match will be deemed a 0-0 draw. Due to the scheduling of matches, we cannot rearrange anything unless due to extreme circumstances, such as 4 foot of snow on the ground. And unless that happens, the match will still go ahead for fun if the pitch fee has been paid by the players, and we can cover costs there. Loan players will continue to be requested as normal, but they're no longer allowed to play matches back to back, and no more than twice per calendar month. Teams with long-term absences will sign a loan player for all of those games. So, as an example, if Adam,
Into my knee last month, for example, was out for 2 games.
Exactly, you can then sign a loan player to cover you for those 2 games. The priority will be given to those in the reserve pool that can make all the required fixtures and have played the lowest amount of matches in loan appearances so far this season. Something else that we're going to implement is players who have missed 3 matches for their team back-to-back without exceptional circumstances are basically will be potentially moved to the loan pool at the discretion of their team captain. And this is something that we believe will be quite beneficial, because then we can bring in players that have been making regular loan appearances. People like George Mace, people like Stu Fermoy can be brought in to a full squad and play all the matches that are required of them. So that's basically the changes that have been made. We will put a printed version of this. Printed?
Digital copy.
What era am I in? I'm going to go to the printing press. And
Should we get the wax seal?
Yes, please do.
Yes.
But no, I shall put an e-copy of this. How about that? On Facebook and things like that, so everyone can read it at their own leisure and inwardly digest. So that here ends the announcement about loans.
I mean,
Does that make sense?
yeah, complete sense to me. And this is the thing I love about being part of this group. We don't let things go stale. We don't let it get to the point of people leaving the league.
Exactly.
I mean, some professional football organisations could take a leaf out of our book, because there's rule changes. There's, for example, slightly off topic, but VAR.
Yes.
It's there. The technology's there, but they're not using it.
No.
And it would change football matches and make it fairer.
Mm,
and
And we don't have the funds to implement VAR, I will admit.
I- I've got to say, yeah, we could use the GoPros live.
Who's going to go and get them off the side of the pitch and play
Just
it and
review
review the footage?
So I
Right,
mean,
look-
this is the important thing, is that, you know, we do value every one of you who plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We value you. Calm values you. The whole thing wouldn't work without all of you playing each week.
And not just that, if you've got anything that you don't think is working for you, let your team captain know, and then things like this can
Oh,
happen.
I do.
I know. We'll have the discussions amongst the captains. We'll see what will be beneficial for Match of the Dads, and if something's workable and it's going to make the overall experience better for everyone, then we'll do it. You know.
Absolutely. Right, it seems
Should we-
we've just
should-
been talking about videos.
Yes.
Feels like a good time to, as we discussed on the Facebook page, reveal the goal of the month.
Yes. Let's
So
do
first
this.
of all, we'll do the video with the contenders, and then we will announce the goal of the month for October. So there were the contenders for goal of the month for October. Some fantastic goals there.
Oh.
Apart from the last one, the keeper should have done better.
Seriously, sloth on a sedative. That's how quick I got down to that. That was, that was diabolical.
Amazing.
I mean, before we announce the winner, it's amazed me the quality of some of the goals.
Oh,
I put together the goal of the month video each month, and sometimes I just sit there watching them over,
Yeah.
and this month was no different. I mean, any one of those strikes could have quite easily have been the winner.
definitely.
And
you know, there's some they're quite different types of goals. some of the build-up was, I mean, the ball in for goal C was great.
Yeah.
Equally, the ball from Brendan to Bobby for his strike, that was great as well.
And it's the goals that miss out on goal of the match.
Yeah.
Because obviously goal of the month is built by goals of the match. But some of the goals in the actual games that don't qualify for goal of the match are incredible. There's some fantastic strikes.
I mean, you think how many goals are scored in a month?
Yeah.
You know, if we take the last two games, the games on Monday, for example, there was 21, 7 and 29.
50 goals.
50 goals in a night. You know, there's 200 goals to go through, and we've got to choose, depending on how many fixtures there are, 8.
But this is why it's important that you guys vote for the goals you think should win it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, we can only go on what we're being given. And, you know, so if you see a goal in a game, make a note of it and tell us.
And don't forget that whoever wins goal of the month will then go through to goal of the season.
Goal of the season.
And
Can't wait to put that video together.
Oh, you're gonna love it. And the winner of the goal of the season will get a shiny trophy.
Shiny.
So anyway,
Shined at home by
shined
Paul.
at home, buffed by my fair hand.
I wondered where we were going. So, Adam, as operations director,
Okay, confirm that with probably about 99% of the votes. The winner was goal C, which is Mark Wiseman. And, well, what a strike. Obviously, my team, Real. I didn't actually play that game, but I had the pleasure of watching.
that's why you got goal of the match.
But I mean, for the judges, the ball over the top from James Watkins, that little dink over the top was
Sexy football.
sexy football.
Sexy football. Oh, sorry, in the words of our own Alan Partridge, liquid football. But
We need a sound clip of that. We need to just get it sound clipped up and play it every podcast.
that is liquid football.
That's, or we'll just use you. Done.
And
Job done.
And if we make bloopers, sorry, if I make bloopers and we show them, we can go, smell my cheese.
Just a couple of other updates as well to announce on the Golden Month, obviously, are the Golden Boot and Golden Glove performances. Now, in the Golden Glove...
I'll leave the room for this one because I'm not even running for it.
How you doing, Paul?
yeah, how are you?
They're very brassy gloves. They're nowhere near gold.
In fact, I'm afraid, I think after...
I am bottom of the...
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
unfortunately, it did go that way. So it's basically become a bit of a two-horse race at the top between last season's winner, Anthony Ashton. He's on minus 5.3 goals per game. And the returning Stu Barker, who's on minus 6. It's quite tight between those two. Who do you think's going to win it?
Put me on the spot.
Two best defensive teams in the league.
You know, I honestly I could not choose between them. They've both got great squads in front of them. I guess what could impact it is the loan rule. And who pitches up in opposite teams. You know,
hopefully that'll be less the case,
yeah,
though.
that might be less the case. But if you get someone like George Mason, Kevin Thurston, and Dad Alona playing you guys, and you guys have an off night, say you know Nick.
Yeah,
Nick
but
can't play.
but we have Nick and Ant.
Yeah, but say Nick can't play for whatever reason,
and
those two are on form.
I mean, I think
true.
that's something we have to talk about. Really, it's not just these keepers that pull off the great saves.
No.
I've played against both of those keepers and they've made stunning saves, but the team in front of them is sometimes just unbreakable.
Yeah, they're just solid.
I'd love to see like Opta stats on shots on target against those sides because it would be interesting to see how many shots the team actually get off. Like save conversion ratio kind of thing would be interesting.
That is true, because I think, in fairness, Nick Taylor's probably saved as many as Ant Ashton.
Absolutely.
He's in the way of everything.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. I mean, just watching the games, just the way that Real play and the way that Durston's set up as well. They've got a really visible game plan, and it works quite clearly. It works. So I think that for teams such as mine, you know, we need to start watching the matches that have been played for you guys and see where we can learn from you to try and improve our own performances.
Or don't, because I quite like winning.
I really can't. I can't wait until the rule comes in. So, say they do go on to win the league, 7 points clear at the moment. They go on to win the league, and their team gets broken up. And Mr. Smug here suddenly goes, "Oh, we've won for 2 seasons, and now I have to put up with other players."
But that's,
you could be playing on my team next season.
I can't.
Oh no, you can't.
You're both captains. I don't know whether anyone explained that to you, Chief Exec, but you're both captains, so you can't play on the same.
Sometimes I have to remind you of how everything works.
We'll talk to him after, Ed. That's
Thanks.
fine.
Occasionally in a football match, you have to kick the ball, you know.
Do you?
Oh.
So
I think that's the good thing, though. As much as I love winning, it is the good thing is that at the end of this season, if we win again, that's it. Real Madrid are no more. Or Real Madrid, sorry, are no more.
Careful. I mean, you could.
I don't mind either way, to be fair. But that's the good thing. It means it's all fair and competitive. It means that everyone gets a new team. It means that there's no complete domination forevermore. And everyone has a chance.
That's right. If you did stay together, next season we'd be adopting FIFA 19. No rules, no rules against you guys. You know, anything goes.
Sorry, you guys can stay together. I'm gonna have Thurston, Mace, Ashley Rowe in my team.
It's okay, but you can have Paul as well. So even know.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. They won't lose the ball. So
talking of those players, let's also just quickly mention the Golden Boot because Kevin Thurston has literally played. Was it 3 games for Danilona?
yes,
And
because
he-
obviously lone goals scored and conceded do not count
That's
towards
correct.
the end of the season.
Just as well for you.
Yeah.
So Kevin has scored on average 11 goals a game, 33 to his name in
That's
3 games, which is just
Incredible.
absolutely incredible. And then second behind him is 9 goals behind Mark Wiseman, who's played about 5 games more. And then George Mace, obviously, we've got to give him an honourable mention because he is up there. But
How many has he got so far?
He's
Bear in mind
actually-
he's played 8 games.
he's played 8 games and scored 41 goals.
It's phenomenal.
So
But
when you
if you average it out, you know, when we get Darren back, he's played 3, scored 24. So if he plays 8,
Well,
my
actually-
maths isn't my mental arithmetic isn't good enough. But I'm sure by the time if you extrapolate that up to 8 matches, Daz will have scored 400 goals.
Well, actually, I've actually got the stats here, and Kevin is actually leading with 8.3 games to goals ratio. Second would be George Mace on 5.1, and then third would be Darren. No, sorry, Ashley Rowe.
Well, how do you know? Because Darren is there. Yeah.
Yeah, Darren would be fourth on 4.5.
Yeah, but the thing is, that 4th game that you played, he was only on the pitch for 5 minutes, so you can't really count that. So I reckon
Well,
we scratched that.
it
So.
was an appearance. So
No, 18 from 3. 18 from 3.
Right, so for those of you watching or listening to this who aren't in Match of the Dads, if we've got a few subscribers by the stage this goes out, we're going to talk about a few general footballing stories as well, just to keep the football theme going. And first up, I think we have to go with ex-Norwich player. It's 2 footballing stories containing ex-Norwich players.
This wasn't planned.
Theme of the
honestly.
week.
Completely by coincidence for very different reasons. Stood listening to football on Saturday afternoon and hear Maddison's been sent off for a second yellow card.
It's not what I would have
It's-
expected from the lad, to be fair.
It's unbelievable. Having seen him play the game, knowing what it's like, I was intrigued to find out why. And turns out silly foul to start with, stopped a counter attack. You'd probably take a booking for that. As the manager of Leicester, you'd probably say good booking.
But the thing is, if he looked up, there were other players coming to cover. He did. It was unnecessary.
It was quite
It was
early in the
unnecessary.
game. It was quite early in the game as well. I
Yeah,
think
was
you
it about
could've-
25 minutes?
Yeah,
in, something
exactly.
Like that?
Yeah. Yes, it wasn't. You know, I think at that stage of the game, unless it's a complete backs against the wall counter attack, there's no need to concede that far.
No.
But the second one, I mean, if the first one could be justified in any way, shape or form, and depending on which way you look at it, rush of blood to the head, the second one is simply unbelievable.
Unforgivable. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, his new thing is JM10. Is that the amount of points that he got on his scorecard for his dive?
Yeah.
Because seriously, I've seen actual divers dive worse than he did.
My boss put him in his dream team
I've got him in my dream team.
and literally put him in last week.
Oh.
and this week gets a red card. And I mean, in fairness, for his age, the way he reacted to it was honourable.
Yeah,
I think we have got an image of what he came out and said on Instagram, and basically said, apologies to everyone for what happened today. No one wants to see diving in our beautiful game. I was anticipating contact that never came, but that's no excuse. It's a mistake I will learn from. Lads showed fantastic fight and determination to get us back in the game and go home with more than a deserved point.
Yeah, it just shows the level of maturity that he's got. I mean, knowing what I know about Madison, obviously I don't know him personally, but everything that I've read about him, he's got a really good team of support around him. He's very family-centric, and his parents and the rest of his family keep him very well grounded.
And if we can just flick the picture back up for a second, that was his actual reaction when it happened. And that kind of says, at the time, the moment that it happened, he knew exactly what he'd done. He felt instantly sorry.
I mean, look, you know, there's no one around him. How could anyone think that wasn't a dive?
I think it was one of those supporters in the background tripped him up.
Yeah, but
maybe he confused his feet for blades of grass as well. That's
could do, but I mean, to be fair, his reaction there was pretty much like mine when I concede any goal.
Yep.
I don't know. You also pointed out, Paul. I don't know if there's another mistake on that.
Yeah,
he seems to belong to Brighton and Hove Albion. Can we get that back up again?
That was really odd.
Have you got time to react like that when you concede a goal, Paul? Because normally there's another one in the net. But
no, I haven't picked the ball out of the back of the net while I'm doing that.
Man is like, oh no, I've been signed with Brighton.
I will just say that was location that he tweeted it or Instagrammed it from while he was still in Brighton, which is admirable as well. Didn't wait till his PR team got on the phone and said you should probably apologise for that. He done it at the time of the misdemeanour. But I mean, it's great, and we all follow Norwich and know what a great professional he was, how good he was to the community last season.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe what he said.
So do I.
That's not a throwaway comment. I think he will learn from it. I think his reaction shows he was ashamed by it, and I mean, it's good if he learns from it now, because
especially at his young age,
he is going to be an England international. He's already been called up at least once to the senior squad, and he will go on to play for England if he can just get the silly mistakes out of his game early.
But then, interestingly, going back to last season when he was at Norwich, he was like the most fouled player in the Championship last season. Was he the most fouled player, or did he fall over more than anyone else?
I think he was anticipating contact, because in the Championship, it's a very different league.
Of course.
We all know that the defenders and midfielders in the Championship are probably a yard off the pace of Premiership defenders. So yes, he was probably right to anticipate contact, but it never came, and that was the thing. Especially a team managed by Chris Hughton, he knows how to organise his defence, and they're not gonna.
They're no mugs.
It will come back to bite me in a future podcast, I dare say, but they're not gonna stick a foot in on James Maddison in the box, knowing that he probably would feel the contact and go down. And I mean, he did clip his heels, didn't he? He says he was anticipating contact. He kind of clicked those heels together a little bit.
I think obviously it is difficult. As a winger myself, it's very much part of the game where you get fouled. You draw fouls. It's just part of what it is. And I think part of what let him down is it was a little bit dramatic, and the fact he sort of looked to claim afterwards as well probably didn't help his cause. I think in those situations it's difficult though, because I think at the end of the day, if he didn't go down, he wouldn't have the chance to get the penalty. So it's hard. It is hard.
I mean, Vardy saved the point.
Yes.
For Leicester in the end. So
with a penalty.
With a penalty.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think he knows what he did was wrong, but fair play to him for coming out and apologising for it. And I just hope for him and Leicester that he learns from it. And I'm sure he will. And we're going to go on to see his name in lights for years and years to come.
And hopefully get many payments.
Yes, please.
The board would have put in when we sold him.
Yes.
Hopefully, as if the initial fee wasn't enough.
Yes.
Right, so Adam, your is the next story, which is another former Norwich player, slightly longer ago than James Maddison last season.
Yes. He was actually playing for Norwich in 2 stints. Obviously, back when he was about Maddison's age, he very famously dyed his hair green to play against Ipswich. And then came back about a century later to score a few more goals for us. But that is exactly the reason why he's in the news. Actually, it's Jamie Curtin, and he was in the news because he's just scored his 350th career goal in professional football at the ripe old age of 43.
That's even older than me.
I didn't even realise that existed.
Shut up.
Just. I think what's amazing about this story as well, I think I picked this one because Jamie Curtin is a dad, and obviously much of the jazz is for everyone. And I think it was a nice story because it just shows that age is a number.
Yeah.
And I think Minnie said he's actually said since this interview that he's now aiming for 400 career goals, which I think at that age is incredible. I think there's only 2 remaining active players that featured on FIFA 96.
Really?
One of them is Jamie Curtin, and the other one is a Japanese striker that I will not pretend I can. Miura.
Kazuyoshi Miura.
Yeah. 51 years old, and he's still playing.
I know.
Still playing.
He's playing top flight J League, isn't he? Still.
Yeah, but
he
as
only
a
makes
sub.
occasional appearances, whereas
Jamie Curtin is
week in, week out. And he also said in his interview that he had this week that he can't play Football Manager anymore because he loves his gaming, but when he plays and plays with the team he's involved with, he gets retired after 1 season. Which is just incredible. Like, the computer knows he shouldn't be playing,
yes,
but he doesn't. And there was Keith Webb has spoke about him quite fondly this week and said when he was coming through the youth team at Norwich, he loved the game. So it's no surprise to Keith Webb that he's still playing because he loves the game of football. It's like us lot, different level completely.
No,
but a lot of people get to an age, and I shouldn't be running about a pitch anymore. But I mean, the way he brought up his 350 as well, with a hat trick, with the quality of the goals as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It just goes to show
that if you look after yourself physically, then you can still do it at 43 week in, week out. Maybe when he does eventually retire, and this is a direct plea, Jamie, come and play for Match of the Dads. You can score all the goals that I let in, so you can be on my team. Please come and play for us.
I just had a quick look actually. Ryan Giggs, because I think he's the most recent memory of a really old player playing active football, and he retired when he was 40. So Jamie Curtin's 43. Stanley Matthews apparently played for England when he was 42, and that's currently the oldest international appearance for England.
Are we saying that?
Right, let's go on the phone to Southgate.
That was going to be my next call. I think he's scoring goals for fun.
Exactly.
He scored a hat-trick in his last game.
Southgate, and I loved what Southgate done over the summer and the Nations League adventure so far.
Does anyone actually understand the Nations League and
yes, fully?
Can you explain it to me? Because I haven't got a clue.
No, I was lying.
Oh, or is that for another podcast?
I think we'd need a whole podcast just to explain.
That's fine.
Nations League.
We can do that next time.
All I know is we are in the semi-finals, which take place in June.
But is the semi-final actually a knockout, or is that now another league stage to get you through to another knockout?
We'll get Infantini on. We'll get him to explain it to us.
Please do.
From what I read, weirdly, the semi-finals take place in June when European Championship qualifying has already started. Now, I thought that part of the prize of winning the Nations League was you qualified for the European Championship.
So
clearly, I'm wrong.
No. It's correct. It's correct. It's basically if teams like England fail to win their qualifying league, then they've already qualified.
So hang on. So if they fail to win their qualifying league, they've already qualified. So you can lose 3 games and still get through.
No. They can. So the qualifiers for the Euros.
Right.
England could lose every game, but they're still through.
See, this just blows my mind.
And what makes me laugh is at the start of this all, there was a possibility that one of the minnows of European football
like
would still qualify.
like Spain.
Yes, our friends in Spain. So one of the minnows would definitely qualify for the Euros because they were in Group 4, and as Group 4 winners, they would have the chance to go through. And it's just been done for advertising, surely.
Of course it has.
For the TV contract.
The Euros is going to be played across 12 different countries.
I mean, what upsets me the most is that, yes, you had what they called meaningless friendlies, but those friendlies were shown on terrestrial TV.
Yes.
Now, the Nations League, they're talking about giving everyone the love of football back, and Southgate and his boys done a great job over the summer.
It's
of
coming home
inspiring-
for £69 a month.
Yeah, of inspiring the nation over the summer, that long hot summer of barbecues, football, and we genuinely thought for a moment that it was never going to end. And he's done a great job of getting everyone to fall in love with football again. And then it gets greedy and it goes back onto non-terrestrial services. I'm not going to mention who or what and how much they're paid, because
The numbers are scandalous, really.
yeah. And I mean, the Premier League would probably not be the same competition without the money that broadcasters have put into it. But I feel with national football, it should be available to everyone.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
how are we going to inspire our kids?
James Maddison, he would have been growing up watching England internationals on ITV and BBC.
Yep.
You know, and look where he is now. He's on the verge of a phenomenal international career.
And I
So
mean,
where's
it
the
feels
kids
like
now? Where are the
it feels like it's happening with all sports as well. Like the fact that,
Formula One?
admittedly, digital radio is available to most people these days, and it's easy enough to access. But the fact that TMS didn't do the most recent test match, aren't doing the next test match, kind of makes me feel like, right, we're paying a license fee. We should be getting something back to be proud of, instead of all the scaremongering about politics and controversial documentaries that they get to do viewing figures. They should show sporting events to give pride in our nation. And you look at what they achieved over the summer, you look at what the Test team are doing in cricket at the moment, you look at what Lewis Hamilton is doing in Formula One, and it just feels like some people are being robbed of that.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I studied media at university, and it's a very hot topic then, and it's even worse now. That the problem is, it all boils down to money, and although you pay a license fee, the BBC just can't compete. And what's sad about that is, you know, like I say, all those moments and memories that we have when we were children, our children aren't going to have. But that's exactly why you should watch Match of the Dads on YouTube.
It's free.
Or come down and join us at Hall Road,
Yeah.
because honestly, it's good quality football for five-a-side.
It really is.
£3.75 per match.
Yes.
With a donation of that going to COTT.
And you get to see Paul Godfrey bend over a lot and pick the ball out of the net. So if that's not motivation to come and watch, nothing will be. Right, so
Cheers, mate.
we are sort of coming to the end of episode 1 of our podcast, the pilot episode. It is worth mentioning, obviously we mentioned at the start of the podcast about one of the main reasons we do this, not just to get together and to support other dads and to like create a social network, but the reason we do it is for Calm, which is Campaign Against Living Miserably, who have actually just teamed up with Dave, the TV channel as well, which is a really big deal for them. Obviously it will help get the message out. Now the phone line's open 5 p.m. till midnight 365 days a year, and the telephone number nationwide is 0800 58 58 58, or in London it's 0808 802 58 58. We've got the website details on screen at the moment. It's www.thecalmzone.net, and it's there to help. We can't stress that enough, guys. It's if you're struggling, if you're going through a hard time, if you don't feel like you can talk to your friends, your partner, your colleagues, it's there for you to talk to.
And if you don't want to speak to anyone, there is a web chat service available through Calm as well. There is a slightly more delayed response with that at the moment, as it is something that they've just rolled out. But if you don't want to actually pick up the phone and talk to someone, pick up your phone and type it out instead. But whatever you do, get it out there. Don't suffer in silence, please.
And also, don't forget, obviously, as we said before, come and join us. Come and join us. You know, we are a support group as well, and you know, we like to have some fun, play some sport. We'd love everyone to get involved. We'd love Match of the Dads to become a nationwide thing where we can help everyone.
The premier Dads Five-a-side League in Britain.
But you know, that's, you know, on a serious note, that's what we're there for.
Yeah,
it is what we're here.
I mean, if you don't fancy coming down and playing, you know, search for us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
And at www.matchthedads.com.
Yes, we'd love your support, your tweets, your follows, your shares, your subscribes. Everything that you can give to us is all greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, and it's important to note as well, it's not just if you're feeling low or feeling down. When they teamed up with Dave, they also launched a campaign on Monday called Alan. Now, Alan is Ask, Listen, Action and Network. So if you're worried about someone, if there's someone in your social circle or at work, ask open questions like, how are you feeling? Start a conversation. Show them concern, but don't judge. The listen part is let them speak. You don't need to solve the problems. As with Match of the Dads, we don't claim to solve everyone's problems. We're not counsellors. We're not there to wave the magic wand, but we
sometimes just externalizing what you're thinking can make the problem seem less, not less significant, but not as all-encompassing.
Problem shared is a problem halved.
Exactly.
Next part of Alan is action, so help them make a plan of action and set some simple goals. Let them know what help is out there and arrange your next meetup. So even if you notice someone feeling a bit low and you've done the first 2 steps and you get to step 3, and just maybe don't involve the pub. The pub's not the best place to sort your problems out. But I was speaking to one of the dads who plays in your team the other day, and we laughed about the fact that it always used to be, let's go out for a beer, let's have a Chinese, let's sort something out in the night. We all know that the moment you have kids, they bring so much joy to your life, but it restricts what you can do.
Definitely.
Especially if your couple's looking to do something. So we agreed the other day that we'd sort it out to go and have coffee or cake or something.
Yeah.
Because that's the adult thing to do.
Exactly. or you know, go to a soft play, take your kids, let them burn off some steam while
yeah,
I mean,
we have the monthly dad's breakfasts at Hyper.
Yeah.
We also have the ones at Trinity Hall.
We do.
In Norwich. They're worth going along. They're not, as I said right at the start of the podcast, it's not cliquey.
No.
Everyone will welcome you, and that's the last part. Build a network, support together with other friends and family. If you're not part of Match of the Dads yet and you're not part of a dad group, either get involved, or if you feel like you need to, get in touch with Calm.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're there for. There's support out there. It doesn't have to be through the traditional healthcare routes. The NHS do an amazing job in really difficult circumstances, but sometimes the pathways for care can take an awful long time to get there, so they're not necessarily the things that are being given to people that need it at the right time. So while you're waiting for your appointments to come through, or while you're waiting to see your specialists or your referrals or things like that, speak to the people that you can, your peers, your friends, your colleagues, Calm, other dad groups. Just get it off your chest. Anything, use any outlet that's there to help you.
Right. So, as Paul said, don't be scared to open up. And even if you need further information, comment on the video when we put this out on YouTube, and we can put you in touch. We can post a link to Calm on there as well.
Yeah. Go to our website, www.matchthedads.com. There's a contact us button. Send us an email, and we'll be back in touch.
Absolutely. Right, I think that's where we should wrap it up for tonight. There is just one thank you we need to say, because guiding us through this first little adventure has been our wonderful producer, Mr. Matt Smith. Thank you, Matt.
Cheers, Matt.
Hopefully, we'll be back some point in the future. I think the plan is initially to do these on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Like Paul said, if you want to get in touch in the meantime, please do head over to the Match of the Dads website, which is allthews.matchofthedads.com, or add us on Facebook and we'll be in touch. But from myself, Minnie, from CEO Paul, and from Adam, it's goodbye from us. Take care.